Welcome once again to your update from the city of New Hope. Time to take a look at what's coming up and what's been happening in the city. And to do that, we are with the mayor, John Elder. Welcome, John. How are you today?
I'm fabulous. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, thanks for being with us. And we're going to add an extra twist to the updates today. We're going to take a look at the end of our update here at the last council meeting and also a look ahead at other meetings coming up in the city. So stick with us for that. But to the update from the city, first in community development, something called Safe Routes to Schools. And we've talked about this on the update in the past. John, remind us what this is and what has happened recently that's good news for the city.
You bet. Thank you, Dave. The Safe Routes to School deals with pedestrian and safety for getting children to and from schools. Now, the nice thing about that is that a lot of the things that are brought into this happen also outside of school hours. So it's great for pedestrian safety, bicycle safety, and it keeps cars in the mindset that there are people in both of those modes of transportation. It's not just cars. The city put in for and received a grant for $363, $363,617 of federal funds for a project which will include in the area of Meadow Lake Elementary high visibility crosswalks, flashing stop signs, curb extensions, ADA compliant ramps, and blinking pedestrian lights at crossings. And that will also include additional signage. This is so important to help remind drivers that there are other things happening other than just people driving down the road. And the blinking crosswalk signs are person activated, so they're not always on. The people walk up, they push the button, the lights are unbelievably bright, and it lets people know that, hey, there's a crosswalk and there are people that are actually there. So it's really a great program. Those are great safety features. I've met with the folks that are using them currently, and it just have received rave reviews. I know Crystal has some right at 36th and Highway 100, and they're exceptionally good. Now, the challenge with this is that there needs to be work done on the front end. So there needs to be a cultural noise, and it's something that is called cultural noise and threatened and endangered review request. And that's got to go to the state first. And that process can take up to 2 years. And so we are looking for these improvements to go into place in 2027.
Very good. All right. Thanks for all the information, and we'll watch as that comes into fruition a couple years from now. One other item in community development, the curbside appeal reimbursement program. It sounds like another success here.
Absolutely. On the 3800 block of Utah Avenue North, a resident has put in for and received funding for the installation of a new garage door and windows. Again, keeping things looking good from the curbside is it's a quality of life thing. And we are seeing that people are taking advantage of this program and doing things to their home that they may not have been able to afford. So we're excited to see more people engage in this.
One other item in community development, update on scattered site housing. John, there's one property you wanted to update on to give people that are around that home a little idea of what's next.
Gotten a lot of phone calls and emails about the property at 5410 Zealand. The demolition contract was awarded at our January 13th meeting. It went to Nitty Roll-Off Services. They've done a great deal of work with the city. They do quality work. The development update was mailed to property owners within 500 feet of the property, and it's been posted on the city's website. The contract has been executed and has to be completed by May 30th of this year. And the next step is to have builders look at the property for building. So a request for proposals was sent out to home builders and interested party with a submission deadline of January 31st. So we're looking forward to see what they bring forward on what people would like to put on this property.
Let's hop ahead to Public Works. A few things happening here related to sewers, inventory, and ice skating. Give us an update of some of the busy work that department's doing.
You know, of all of our departments, um, if we didn't have a good public works department, this city would know it. And these folks are doing so much stuff that we don't see, things that the average resident doesn't know about. I'm so thankful we have the opportunity to highlight even just a portion of their work. They're doing sewer inspections at problem areas throughout the city and addressing those issues. And these are things that are picked up by flow meters, by calls from residents. So they're really being proactive on this. If they can take care of a problem on the front end before it becomes a catastrophe, we're all so much better off.
Mhm.
And with them not out being plowing snow and putting brine and salt down, they do have the time now to do a lot of their clerical stuff, such as inventorying meters, repair clamps, dirt, things like that, things that they're going to be needing or need to order. So they're using this time now to do more of some more of the administrative things.
Mhm.
And with our skating rinks now being so widely used, maybe not a lot this last weekend,
Right.
but being highly used, there's a fair amount of rink maintenance that's happening. So they're doing great stuff. Additionally, as I mentioned last week, we got our bids back on the water tower, South Water Tower, sanding and painting. Those bids came back very positively, and so that will be going to the Joint Water Commission, who pays for it, as
Mhm.
well as to the council for approval. There is road work coming up this summer that they're doing plans and specs on. It's going to be a mill and overlay project, so it's not a total reconstruction, but it's in the Northwood Northeast section of the city. So that's the area that's north of the east side of Northwood Park. And they will also be doing some mill and overlay work in the area of Flag between 29th and 31st.
Mhm.
And another huge project that we'll be dealing with for the next 2 to 3 years is the water meter replacements. And we are going to be replacing all of the water meters in every residence in the city. The reason for this is that they are reaching the end of their life cycle. And the old system that we got 25 years ago
Right.
was state of the art. And we had a car that was set up with a meter reader on it, and that car would drive slowly up and down every single street of the city every month. And it would be able to pick up the readings from outside the house. So we were taking up a staff member's time, the car, the gasoline, the repairs to do this system.
Mhm.
Now we are going to a system that the city can look at remotely. And the really important part is, if first of all, we can get rid of those other costs that I just outlined from our
Right.
old system. And if somebody calls and says, "Hey, my water bill was $200 more than it was last billing period," they can look real time and be able to tell you if they think there's a leak there. Do you have a toilet that's constantly running? Do you have a leak under the house? Is there a leak involved? So the diagnostics of that really are huge. So it's really something that is moving us up to where it should be. And we're really, really excited to be able to get these into place. Again, this is going to be a couple years. We're doing it in-house, and by doing it in-house, we are saving over $1 million. So it's going to take us some time, but Public Works stepped up and said, hey, we can probably do this in-house, and here's the money we're saving by doing it. So again, it's just great work by Director Weber and his teams. We just had a water main break over the weekend in the sub-zero temperature. Those public works staff were out there digging it out. They were outside and in their trucks intermittently, obviously,
Mhm.
for several hours. And just, every one of our departments and divisions are really important, and they're all doing great work. But boy, I'll tell you, if
Yeah.
our public works wasn't performing on all cylinders, we would certainly know it. So
Yeah.
hats off to them.
Definitely. And one other note with the Director Weber, meeting with new council members. So this is a process that happens when someone new comes on the council, not only with Public Works, but I understand with all departments.
Absolutely. Uh, Council member Kyle Coriel is now officially joined the New Hope City Council, and now we got to get her up to speed. And so she has been going through an orientation process, which includes meeting with each of the directors and meeting with staff and getting to know the city. She's lived in the city for several years, but getting to know people, getting to build these relationships, getting to know how it works. And it will help make her a better council member. And she is wholly embracing this. And I've received nothing but great feedback about her and how she's taking to this. So we're excited to have her on board.
All right, let's hop ahead to Public Works, or I'm sorry, Park and Recreation after Public Works here and some of the things that are happening. And one is the Community Connections program in January was very fitting with the time here with cold weather and all. They talked a little bit about emergency preparedness, and some New Hope residents had a chance to head over.
Yeah, learning how to properly respond to, address, or protect themselves from emergency situations is super helpful. And this was largely a crowd of people who were older, and we were able to sit and through Hennepin County Emergency Management talk about preparedness. What do you do if you have an emergency, such as if there's a tornado, if there's a straight line winds coming through, if there's fires, widespread fires, things that really would be handled on an emergency management level.
Great opportunity for the seniors in the area. Also from Park and Recreation, time for people to get out and golf in the winter. You heard it right, golf in the winter. Mayor, how does this happen?
This is such a fun event. We go out, they have plowed off areas of the golf course, they make holes, and people go out and they golf with tennis balls. And you go out, you play modified. Last year it was 10 holes instead of 9. And it's just a great time. People had so much fun each of the years that I've been able to attend it. And you go out, you golf, you dress for it, and you have fun. And short of last winter, not many people are able to say I went out golfing in January.
Exactly. So that is on the 25th. They want you to sign up by the 22nd, newhopemn.gov, the website, to find out more about that opportunity. Let's talk a little farmers market. We've talked about the new director coming on to lead that, but now they're looking for vendors, I understand.
Yeah, I met with Ms. Yeager, our director for the farmers market, last week, and this is going to be something you hear me talk about a lot.
Mhm.
Having been one of the original farmers markets board members, I truly understand the asset this is for our community. And we are looking for vendors, people that want to have a booth. And it's a great, these have always been great community events. I looked forward to it every Saturday. I could see a whole bunch of people that maybe I haven't seen for a while, or the same people every week. It really is a great place, and there was always fresh vegetables and crafts and some other things as well. So it was a nice blend. I know they're aiming for that again this year, and I we're just ecstatic to have it back. It has a lot of community support.
And as we get closer, we'll give you more details about location, days of the week, timing, all of that as it comes closer. Let's talk a little bit about trees. That is also under the purview of Park and Rec, and I know Public Works as well, but Park and Rec specifically looking at the ash trees once again. What's happening?
Yeah, they're going through and identifying trees for 2025. And right now, Public Works is working with our tree removal vendor, and they're still taking some trees down at this time. But largely right now, they are identifying the trees that will be coming down in the spring and summer of this year, including the fall. Sadly, we still have an awful lot of trees that need to come down. And I looked down my street and I missed the canopy that was there. Uh,
Mhm.
but I mean, it is what it is. And the city has been aggressive in getting these trees removed. There's just so many of them that, we're truly doing the best that we can. And it's also very expensive. So we're working through grants, and we've been very successful in some grants, but we spent several $100,000 last year removing trees.
Final notes in Park and Rec. Let's talk about the three beautiful facilities in town that people spend a lot of time at. One is the golf course, and you wouldn't think you spend time there now, but they've got the beautiful building, so people like to use the inside of the golf course.
Absolutely. We ended up renting out the golf course uh, porch picnic area for each of our kids' graduations from high school. Uh,
Mhm.
I didn't have to fix my deck. I didn't have to, straighten up the house.
Right?
I didn't have to do any of that. We did it out there, and it was an incredible place to have it. Our golf course clubhouse is rented out for all sorts of events throughout the winter time, because obviously we're not using it for golf other than this Saturday.
Mhm.
Um, and really, it's great. We just someone rented it from 3 to 7 last Sunday, yeah, for a birthday party,
Mhm.
and so it's a great setting, and looking out over the snow-covered course is always pretty, and so they continue to rent it out, and it's a way for us to bring in some revenue from the building that otherwise would just be sitting empty.
Makes sense. Let's go over to the ice arena. A lot of activity there, hockey games happening, and also skating lessons. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, our ice arena is busy 12 months a year. And it I thought that maybe time in the winter it would go down because people could skate outside. Well, there's not an appetite for that. And people want to have a controlled environment, controlled ice. And so our ice arena stays super busy, whether it's skating lessons, high school hockey games, adult hockey association scheduling a lot of ice time.
Mhm.
And of course, we still have our dry land training, which is being run in the area that's not ice. And
Mhm.
we're bringing in revenue from that. It's an incredibly busy building, and we're very proud of it. And it has such a rich history that a lot of these tournaments continue to come back to New Hope, and we're
Mhm.
grateful.
Yep, they like that ice. Final
Yeah.
note in Park and Rec. How about the aquatic park? Let's talk about that on this chilly, chilly day because they are busy looking for employees.
Yeah, you would think in January we wouldn't be talking aquatic park, but we are. They are reaching out to all of their previous aquatic park employees to see if they would come back for the summer of 2025. The initial response is good, but I imagine we will have some openings for some of those college seniors that are moving on into the real world. And so we are looking for staff members, a lot of which would be lifeguards. And so we're looking forward to a great season in about 134 days.
Sounds
So,
good. Go to the city's website, newhopemn.gov, to find out more about possible job opportunities there. So that's your update of what's been happening in the city and what's coming up. But let's hop to the last council agenda. So a meeting happened after the last time we got together, Mayor Elder, and let's talk a little bit about that first meeting in January. A meeting full of formalities, starting from the roll call and through consent. Give us a little picture of what happens in that first meeting of the year normally.
yeah, well, this one was obviously the first after elections for the start of the new terms, and I was honored and humbled to be sworn in as the new mayor, and I was sworn in, and with my wife by my side, my three adult children in the audience,
Mhm.
and went up. Mayor Hemken handed me the gavel, gave me a hug, and wished me well, and she went and sat in the audience.
Very nice.
We went on and then swore in Councilmember Eisenberg and then Councilmember Hoff. Then I made a motion that we accept uh, Kyle Coriel on as the appointed council member for the remaining 2 years of my term. That passed unanimously, and then she was sworn in. So we have a full council, and we're ready to get some work done.
And on
The
the
first,
consent agenda, that's again a lot of yearly things that have to happen with newspapers and depositing those type of things, correct?
yeah, a lot of boring things.
Right.
Um, and but we identify the Sun Post as our newspaper, and that means that when we have legal things we have to post it in the Sun Post.
Mhm.
So, and it makes Wells Fargo our bank depository, and if there's it our city attorneys got reappointed. And so it's a lot of the nuts and bolts of running the city. And it's things that I've had long conversations with the city manager about. These aren't just rubber stamp things. We look at do we want to keep Stantec? Do we want to keep Dan Boyum as our engineer?
Mhm.
And the answer to that was yes, we do. So it's a way of us evaluating the services that we're getting and providing on an annual basis. And if we weren't comfortable with the performance of these staff members and the work product and what we're able to put out to the residents and businesses and visitors, we would be making changes.
One other item from the meeting was under development and planning related to a business at 5100 Boone Avenue North. Give us a quick update on that, which moved through the planning commission and then to the council on the 13th.
Yep, Origin Stone wanted a conditional use permit attached to their property for outdoor storage. And there was some discussion at the meeting about how loud it was there. There were two residents that were present at the public meeting, and they ended up setting up an additional meeting without the council between Origin Stone and the two residents. And I will tell you, I was very, very pleased to see how community oriented Origin Stone was. The owner was present and really wants to be a good neighbor. And I believe they'll work through whatever issues there were. That wasn't part of the process, that wasn't part of the issues. So they did get their conditional use permit. So we're very, very happy about that.
And one other note from that meeting in January was a resolution approving an employment agreement for the city manager. And this is an annual process, I understand, that has to take place.
Correct. In December, we go over a business or an employee review of the city manager. And we look at what his goals were, what he's accomplished, how he accomplished them, did he accomplish them? And really, it's an employee review. We are so blessed to have Reese Berthoff as our city manager. And so at that meeting, we determine pay raise, we determine, what his goals will be for the next year. And the mayor monitors, as well as the council monitors that progress throughout the year. And so we did the official employee agreement with him, and that was approved 5-0 by the council.
So those were the highlights from the meeting back on the 13th, and there is a work session that is happening this evening on the 21st as we talk. Sounds like a rather light agenda there, and the next council meeting then will be on January 27th, and we'll give you updates on those actions as we meet again. Mayor Elder, thanks again for your time today, and folks, stick with us here. A look at some events coming up in the community in just a second. John, have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Dave, you do the same. Thank you, sir.
For more city stories, check out ccxmedia.org or find us on social media.